time for TORked, the Star Wars The Old Republic podcast with unlimited power. This is episode 4, and we streamed this one live on April 16th, 2012, for release the following Thursday. My name is Chris, and joining me every single week are our two lovely hosts. Hello, Heather.
Hello, Chris.
Hello, Nikki.
Hello, Chris.
Now, we got a big show this week because, of course, the 1.2 patch was released, and then the 1.2a patch was also released, and there was some fallout around that, and we'll cover that in the news segment. Also, the game got its first event, and we just got done playing that, and we've got fresh thoughts. We're going to share our thoughts on the event, and just a bit of a spoiler. My head may have exploded. I might have gone green. It might have been a disaster. But that's not all we're going to do this episode. We're also going to chat about the Bounty Hunter class as well as the Smuggler class. Sort of a follow-up to last week's Sith Inquisitor and Sith Warrior chat we did. So that'll be right next, right before we get to all the news. Before we start, I just want to say we are doing another off-format episode, which may somehow evolve into the main format. We don't know yet. But thanks to everybody who's continuing to give your feedback. We appreciate that. You can also email us, torked@jupiterbroadcasting.com. And we're working on all the fine little bits and pieces of the show here, trying to make it a good show. It's still early days, and these are parts of the things that you got to do. But without further ado, ladies, unless I'm forgetting something, should we jump into the Bounty Hunter class?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
All right, who's up first?
That'll be me up first for the Bounty Hunter.
All right, take it.
So, Bounty Hunter is actually my latest project. So, first off the top, with the Bounty Hunter fitting into the MMO Trinity, which we covered back in episode 2, we have 2 advanced classes with the Bounty Hunter. The first one, of course, being the Power Tech, the second one being the Mercenary.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Power Tech, its primary specs are, of course, tanking and DPS. Then the Mercenary also has the option of being DPS or being a healer. So that leading that into the variants, the Power Tech tree, which I've gone down, and the tanking tree, which is where my spec is going. That's the one that you're going to want to go down to lead the charge and be at the front or the head of the pack and grab aggro from everybody. So basically there you're specializing in defense. You've got a lot of shielding abilities, dodges. You got an oil slick, make your enemies slip and fall down. Adding some vaudeville to Star Wars is always fun. And then also in the DPS advanced prototype tree, that's again in Guildy and Lost Management, running very parallel, seeing some of similarities and some of the differences. He doesn't have quite the tanking ability that I do, but he can definitely dish out more damage, whereas with myself, my Bounty Hunter, she's got a lot more toughness, but doesn't quite have the same damage punch. Now, then moving over into the other advanced class, being the Mercenary, this is the one where you see rockets flying everywhere. The big missile pack on the back and rockets coming out of the arm cannon.
Rockets everywhere.
It's all very dramatic, theatrical, and one of the best parts being leveling my Bounty Hunter with another Bounty Hunter, Ownsword, who's a member of the guild. We have this kind of direct complement with each other, and it's really interesting because I can set somebody on fire and they have a huge heat signature. He'll fire his heat-seeking missile and do like 3,500 points of damage.
Nice.
That's a nice combo.
It's a 1-2 punch.
Yes, and literally all that's left is the guy's boots.
Smoking boots.
That's pretty cool.
There's that, and for hybridization purposes, and oddly enough, Ownsword has some of this, but not as much as you could possibly get away with. If you mix the bodyguard and arsenal trees, which is, of course, bodyguard being healing, arsenal being damage, you can actually create a bit of a hybrid spec in that you can be some fairly potent DPS on demand, but also throw in some spot heals.
Nice.
And you can do that to varying degrees and still be able to throw out some heals and still have very potent DPS package, which I believe Chris actually saw in our live play today.
Yeah.
especially with the healing gun. It's kind of therapeutic to shoot your own teammates.
Yeah, actually, I wasn't the one doing the shooting, but I actually really did like that. I thought that was a really nice touch. It's like boop, 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 boop. And it's actually, I think, more therapeutic for my teammates that can shoot me, actually.
So, and then next, just moving into companions. One of the most popular companions in the game, Mako. Starting with the very much Jerry Ryan 709 character style implant over the left eye. Fully customizable, of course. But you start off with her data slicer and your healer companion. And of course, along the adventure, you get your ranged DPS companion in Galt. Then your melee DPS, Torian Kadera. He's also the female romance option. I'm pretty sure everyone knew Mako was the male romance option. Yeah, so Torian Kadera, female romance option. When I first picked up the Bounty Hunter and was reading a bit about Torian, I took one look at him and started immediately calling him Torian Bieber, because he kind of reminded me of Justin there for a while until I actually got through the storyline, met him, and now he's actually become a bit of a favorite.
That's interesting.
From his own character.
And he doesn't sound like Justin Bieber, which is very refreshing. Sounds very Mandalorian. And the next up is got to be one of my favorite companions ever. And he, and I quote, made Daniel Erickson squeal out loud with excitement, Blizz, the Jawa companion. It is, you'll never see anything quite like having a Jawa run along next to you. You engage a group in combat, and somehow he pulls out a rocket launcher that is bigger than him out of his robe, yells at Utini, and fires this missile that looks like it's spiraling out of control. It still hits the enemy and knocks them scattering everywhere. And
I remember that part of one of those trailers, and it shows Blizz for the first time, and he pops it out. I die of laughter. I kind of lost track of how many times I had to went back and watch that little part. So I was like, oh my gosh, little Jawa, giant rocket. That's awesomely funny and awesome.
That's styling is what that is. I like that.
And he's probably going to very soon have one of the most iconic lines in Star Wars The Old Republic, because if you right-click on him, he will, one of his random lines, he will say, "Bad people better watch out for bots and Blizz Utini."
They just totally embrace it.
I think pretty much on all the lists I've seen of top companions, he's definitely at the top. Everyone's like, Blizz, awesome. Okay, everyone else is cool.
Yeah.
And of course, to round out the Bounty Hunter's companions is Skadge, the melee tank, and he's a big giant Hauk who likes to inflict pain upon anything that moves.
Oh. Well, you know.
Very cool. So, Heather, now I believe you were going to tell us a little bit about the Smuggler class, correct?
Yes. The Smuggler is fitting into the MMO Trinity from a healer for the Sawbones and DPS and, you know, that kind of part that it fits in. The advanced classes of Scoundrel, which is a healer in the Sawbones tree, or a DPS in the Scrapper tree. Gunslinger, the gun-related DPS in the Sharproot shooter tree, and sort of gadgetry in the DPS Saboteur tree. So guns are gadgets, and then it can hybridize to, you know, combine those so that it can kind of go back and forth.
Right. So, so if I'm going to go with the Smuggler, though, I kind of need to make a decision if I'm going to go healer or DPS.
Yes.
Okay.
But you can do a little bit of hybridization there.
The other thing you kind of have to decide, though, is with the Gunslinger, you're very much using the cover mechanic.
Yes.
Whereas the Scoundrel is a lot more running gun, using cover less, but you have your stealth belt, you have your blaster shotgun, so they have their trade-offs.
Yeah, I definitely found that I liked the cover mechanic a lot more than I thought I would. I thought it would be very hindrance, and I started playing with it. I'm like, this is fun. I do a lot of healing, but I still like cover. It's an interesting.
Yeah, how does the cover work?
So basically, all you have to do is, for the most part, target an enemy, And then
a little green person will pop up, or a little green arrow saying there might be something here. So you get that, and then you can press F, and I like it was like up on a rock way up there, and you press F, and it rolls way up the rock. You've like rolled 10 feet up in the air, and you're like, I'm ready to go.
All right.
It's pretty epic mechanic, and for gunslingers, you actually get a portable cover unit. If there's nothing nearby that you can take cover from,
okay.
you can drop a portable cover unit, which helps out a lot.
Is that like a shield or a force field?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then the companions, Corso Rakes, whom I love. It was just so awesome. You know, he names all his guns, female romance option. I will always remember, he's like, here, have my first blaster. And I look at it, and right before I equip it, I'm like, wait, this will be bind on. What if this is bind on equip? Will he want this back someday?
You're actually worried if you want it back?
For an instant, I actually thought about that, and I was like, okay, well-written character, I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've had that same dilemma in the game. I can't remember what the circumstances were, but I remember feeling like, oh, I can't take this, or oh, I can't do that. And I thought, oh, wait a minute.
Was it the sword that Andronicus Revel gives you?
Probably, because I'm not. Yeah, it must be. Yeah.
And of course, every smuggler needs a Wookiee friend. Bodar.
Yeah. So Odar is his Wookiee companion, huh?
Yep, Bodar is a melee tank.
Okay. That makes sense for a Wookiee.
Yep. The male romance option is Risha with the range DPS. For another male romance option, melee DPS is Avaki Spar.
Akavi Spar.
Akavi.
She's Mandalorian, so she's got a weird name.
Yeah, I keep switching the poor K. Poor Akavi. And then the Mon Calamari healer is Gustuno, who thinks everything is a trap.
Yeah, it's a trap.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
So yeah, that's kind of, I don't know, kind of like a nice little touchstone to have the Mon Calamari healer.
Yes.
Although I don't think he quite has that Admiral Akbar to him.
That's okay.
That's
He's
all right.
his own little.
That's okay.
It's still an homage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty close, and of course, so is Bodar. And
yes,
perfect comparison to Han Solo and Chewbacca. So.
Yep.
Any other thoughts on the bounty hunter or the smuggler?
I'll just give a quick equipment and stats overview for both of them.
All right.
So going back to the bounty hunter, your primary stat is mostly going to be aim for your damage. If you're running tank spec, you need to start specking with endurance. So be on the lookout primarily for if you're going with especially mercenary DPS, look for a lot of crit rating and surge rating, so that you're not only going to crit more often, but you're going to crit harder. Also, and then with a power tech running DPS, you're probably going to be looking for more things like power, so that your abilities are overall going to be a little bit more potent. But because you don't necessarily have as much of the stacking damage into a really powerful finishing shot, you're going to just look for more potency overall. But also, if you're tanking as a power tech, more endurance, get your shield rating, absorption rating, and just bolster those as much as you can, and just make yourself really tough.
Good times.
It is.
All right. Well, we will have more information. A lot of the stuff that we just verbally downloaded to your brain receivers via your ear is also available if you want to use your eye receivers in our show notes over at jupiterbroadcasting.com. Just look for TORked episode 4, and you will see an outline of everything that ladies just covered. And with that all done, let's do the TORked news. Our first news story today, of course, has to be the Rakghoul Plague Outbreak. Did I get it right? The Rakghoul? The Rakghoul?
Yes.
This is the first live event that I know of since the 1.2 patch. It's one of the new features they're introducing. And it's probably also been the visuals that have been playing throughout the filler of this episode. And we all got a chance to play it. Why don't we start, though, Heather? What are your thoughts on the new event?
Oh, it is awesome. I was sitting there and I was playing the game, and suddenly over the announcement, But citizens, please be aware of a medical, that the rat plague has broken out on Tatooine. Avoid at all costs.
Did this come in over like the game sound while you were already playing?
Yeah. So it was like I was in the fleet headquarters. So
oh, perfect. So that might not have been if you were on Alderaan, for example. That might not have come up.
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
But I know I heard that, and I was like,
that is really cool.
What's going on? And we immediately thought, oh, wait, new event. Awesome. So, of course, then it tells you to stay away from Tatooine, and you head straight there.
Yeah, it's the first thing you do.
The first thing you do when someone tells you don't go there.
Yes, just like a rebellious child, the first thing, as soon as somebody tells you not to do something, you go do it.
Must try. Figure out why they told me not to do it.
So I didn't know, because by the time I found out about it, it was kind of people had already been telling me about it on TeamSpeak and all kinds of stuff. The fact that they did the announcement just sort of at the time like that is really immersive. I really like that. Nikki, what were your first takeaway thoughts from it?
Well, I hadn't logged in on Sunday when the event debuted, and I didn't know the event was happening yet. So I log in, standing there in the fleet, and there's these people who look like they've been infected by the Rakghoul virus. And it's like, what the heck is going on here? And then all of a sudden it plays on the loudspeaker in the fleet, Imperial, because of an Imperial edict, people aren't to travel to Tatooine. If you see anyone infected by the Rakghoul virus, kill them. Don't turn them in, kill them. It's your duty as an Imperial citizen to just, blow their head off or put a lightsaber through their chest.
See, the Republic were told to, alert someone, alert the security. We were told to alert someone, not to just shoot first.
Right.
So you immediately, see these people all over the place, and it's like, I wonder if I can attack these people, and they're all standing around each other, so I just drop a force storm, nothing happens, much to my chagrin, because I'm thinking, oh, well, if they've got the Rakghoul virus, I can probably kill them. But no such luck. But immediately saw that, I can go and watch the holo terminal, see the Imperial newscast about the plague outbreak.
That was such a nice touch.
It was cool.
That the newscast, that was really the frosting on top. It also it gave the whole thing this big propaganda feel and this big and then I probably shouldn't give it away, because there is kind of a can we give it away? Is it okay to give it away? Can we spoil that?
I think we can give it away.
It's just not a big deal. It's not a plot point, but the news anchor lady is sitting there giving the news, and as she's done,
the live correspondent, she's giving her report, and then
in the background,
the guy standing right behind her turns into a Rakghoul and turns around, tries to charge the news anchor, and then you just see this blaster bolt come streaking in from an outside frame. Rakghoul falls down dead, and she turns around, realizes what's happened, goes running away screaming as the decontamination troopers move in.
I like the whole contamination aspect of it. I like the idea that you can get reinfected, and I like that you can accidentally get infected. I also like the idea that it sort of becomes this and I'm sure this bothered some people, but it's sort of like this prank. You can just run right in the middle of a group if you time it just right, and you could blow up and get the whole group sick.
Yeah, it's been part of a daily to infect people, so it's like rewarding for griefing your fellow people.
It kind of is, I guess, but I don't think the antidotes are. First of all, they're not that hard to get, and second of all, I'm sure people will have them in plenty soon. So as far as a first event goes, I was a little surprised that they went the zombie route, to be honest with you, because it felt like usually the zombie thing is saved for Halloween.
It is a little zombified as far as the event goes. I wouldn't say that it's for Star Wars, and especially for Star Wars The Old Republic franchise, because it leads from Knights of the Old Republic, where you're on Taurus. The Rakghouls are just kind of a budding problem at that time.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Old Republic being a number of years later, the plague spread because, Taurus was destroyed and a whole bunch of bad things happening. So now the plague is spreading. So in some ways,
300 years later, we're landing on it, and now it's trickling out again.
Okay, so that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I appreciate it a lot more now that I know that backstory to it. I really like that.
That's something that they don't they don't fully explain to you, and hopefully they get the opportunity to do so. But the Rakghouls are, it's not just a basic zombie thing. It's actually a plague created originally by the Sith, and
dark side power.
It's definitely it's got a much more expansive story, and I think as you see it evolve more, more of the Rise of the Rakghoul storyline, these dailies and things like that, we'll see the Rakghouls really evolve. So they're not just Star Wars zombies.
Another point that I thought was handled really well. It was just a nice, fun touch. It was all of the spaceports were equipped with a scanner droid to make sure that you didn't leave infected, because they didn't want the infection leaving the world. That's just a fun twist, and also can be quite the combat surprise if you're not expecting it.
Yeah, it was all very containment. They didn't want you to get on your ship if you were around the, the various places in the either Anchorhead or Mozilla. Things that you had to go and interact with. And there's containment crews surrounding those. So there's very, containment crews located in very strategically, trying to continue the feel of the event and what they would actually be doing.
Yep. And long story made short, Chris got infected, and then when he tried to leave Tatooine, he got shot in the back.
Yes.
Yep. You actually get some good loot. When you kill them, you get good loot. So that's nice. So it starts out. There's the tracking the origin quest where there's these escape pods that are kind of all over the place. Any thoughts on that?
The first one, that's a little bit different in that you get the emergency notice, and that's how that one starts playing out, because of course you get it through interacting with the media outlets and getting the propaganda aspect.
Right outside the starport.
Whereas the other ones, like Wreck of the Star Dream and Blood Sample and Outbreak, those are area quests. So like the northern part of the very northern part of the Dune Sea, north of the Republic base, that's where you're fighting the Star Dream.
Which is great. It really looks well done. I mean, I love the way it's smashed in. It looks like a real crash.
Yeah, there's wreckage here and there, Rakghouls popping up, infected crew members, everything's just kind of wandering around.
Yeah.
Yep. And those are just basic area dailies. So you just walk into the area and it's there. There's another one on the west side of Tatooine, which, of course, if you start with the ones in the Dune Sea, it'll then lead you over to the ones on the western side of the map, where you find that a whole bunch of sand people have become infected. So not only sand people are crazy and attacking you, they've become, zombified and they're attacking you.
Yeah. And the actual part that sorry, go ahead, Heather.
No, they've been infected.
The part that I actually found to be the most challenging about that is they weren't targetable. So you actually have to go hunt and search for them the old-fashioned way. Like actually run around and just look for somebody who's sick, because they show up as friendly at first.
Well, they're just simply sick. You have to go cure or kill.
Right. Of course. I just have to go cure them.
Yes.
Or kill, or actually, now that leads into a lighter dark side option, because with the blood sample you collect from over in the Dune Sea, you take it back to a research station, and what that lets you do is you can either A, develop a cure for these sand people, or B, and the dark side choice, which my Inquisitor did, make a much more virulent form of the Rakghoul virus. So literally you walk up to one of these sick sand people who's laying on the ground shivering with fever, give them a shot of a Rakghoul Plague accelerant, and then all of a sudden they explode and green slime goes everywhere and they turn into a Rakghoul.
Or you can be like me and my consular and create the serum and then go around to the people who are kind of standing around and sick, and you cure them, and then they're happy and they kind of cheer. They're like, "Yay,
really?
You're my hero."
It's so yeah, you can either save the sand people and they won't shoot you for a change, or you can just be like, "Hey, you kept chasing me down when I was on Tatooine leveling up, so you know what? You can turn into a Rakghoul."
Totally.
But it was interesting that they added that, the dark side, light side choice in this, live event. So you kind of had, your personal touch to it all.
And also something I'll just quickly point out is when I did the dark side option to create the virulent Rakghoul strain, my Inquisitor said, and I quote verbatim, "I'm giddy with anticipation." to what these results are going to be with this accelerated Rakghoul Plague. So there's a chance to be very fiendishly evil or be, the classic good guy helping the underdog.
Now, the thing I didn't get a chance to take a look at is, not to jump ahead too much, but the 3 New World bosses.
Yeah. I didn't actually get to play them either, but there's a giant Rakghoul level 30 champion, Zava a level 50 champion, a giant Bantha, Urtog, and a giant Raid. I had to kind of look up to make sure I got the right creature. But he's another level 50 champion, Trapjaw. So a lot of giant things.
These big scary things that have been infected by the Rakghoul Plague.
Yes, and wish to meet you and a whole bunch of your friends.
That does sound kind of nice. And the XP, at least for my character right now, is like 92,000 or 9,200. So I wish it was 92,000. Pretty good for me.
Same.
Yeah.
And something to just quickly mention, north of the location where you find the Star Dream, there is a Jawa who's got a dewback out with him, and he's selling a whole bunch of supplies. You can get Rakghoul vaccine from him, a pale Rackling, which basically just a small vanity pet, a lockbox, and a number of black core green glowing crystals, which if anyone's not familiar with them, those were a Razer specific unlock. So if you bought some of the Razer gaming gear that was special for Star Wars, you could get that crystal, but now it's in game for the dailies. And because the currency for these is Rakghoul DNA samples, which of course you get for completing these missions, you can have a crystal that normally only people who forked out $200 for a keyboard would get.
Yeah.
Well, so you can.
I've seen some people that weren't quite happy about that, but I love the fact that they have the event credits.
So you prefer an event currency, despite the fact that
so much event currency.
Really? Instead of credits.
Yeah, event currency. Yeah, I would much prefer that. Don't want the chance boxes. I mean, if I got credits, then I could just buy things from it.
But the
whole point is,
don't you worry about them going down a path where there's going to be just too many different forms of currency in the game? I mean, isn't it a slippery slope?
A specific event currency, then it's it is DNA samples. It's just for an event.
Yeah.
Into this sort of event, they can
it's specific to this event. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can. I mean, the two general ways are you get some general chance box of getting something from this big pile of stuff, or you work every day really hard and you have the maximum amount of samples, and then you go, all right, I have enough to get this or that and these combination of things. And I so much prefer that because I can pick exactly, all right, these are the things I want, and I'm going to pour my heart and soul into getting enough credits for those. Get those. I will be giddy with glee when I have my little Rackling and I have, this or that, and then I will be happy. And if I want to get other things, then I can continue working on it. There was even there's a different Rackling, the Crimson Rackling from the Tracking the Origins quest that we were talking about earlier. There's a couple of chains there. So there's 2 different Racklings you can get. But I so much more prefer the event currency to just chance boxes.
Well, something I should also mention, it's the Rakghoul DNA samples are they're an inventory item. They're not actually in your currency tab. So
don't sell them, don't delete them.
So in some ways, they're actually not they're not a hard currency in the game per se. So they are an inventory item. So what that can let them do is they can run the event. It's an inventory item. When it's done, they can probably just say, okay, if you have any extras, you can just liquidate them for a credit apiece at the vendor or something like that.
You can also sell those vaccines for like 2,000 credits. So you could also take the vaccine as a reward and then just go turn them in for credits, basically.
You can trade the DNA samples, or you can sell them. So you can kind of, if you have extras and you have a friend who's shy of you, then hand them over.
Yeah. So be sure when you're going through all this, everybody, that you collect all 9 codex entries, right?
Yes.
I also saw quite a few guides already cropping up online. Now, I guess they've had a couple of days to put them together, but I'm still pretty impressed.
Those guides pop up really quick on any event, especially an event of this popularity.
I noticed one from MMO-mechanics.com, and they had like screenshots of it already, and it seems like maybe they kind of went through and crowdsourced some of this. Like I think they kind of snooped through pages on Reddit and the forums and stuff like that. But they put this up as a work in progress. Like 2 days ago, they had just a couple of things in here, and now they have like all of it in here. So this is kind of interesting to see the way these kind of just get
they
put
grow
together
exponentially fast as soon as anybody can. You take the information you know and then you build on it, and then somebody else knows it. But and there's the social gear set. Looks you'll look like the containment gears surrounding with all the NPCs around.
Yeah, it's good.
So you look like the containment troops that shot Chris in the back.
Yes, you too can look like you shot Chris in the back.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, let's talk about what was going to be the top story this week until we got our chance to play that event, and that was the 1.2 Legacy is now live, and the first part of the patch went real smooth. I mean, we were all kind of sitting around saying this is a pretty dang smooth patch.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I can't think of another game that's introduced a lot of stuff like that where they haven't had some issues. However. That track record was interrupted the next day when patch 1.2.a came out. And that patch, I guess, ended up maybe there was a CDN issue involved or something that caused some of the 1.2 patch to actually get rolled back for certain parts of the game. Did either one of you run into any issues with this?
I personally didn't run into any issues, but some of it basically kind of came out. It wasn't doing it, or there were some bugs here and there. I think there was also some problems with some PvP rewards not going out properly and some other just little things. But I think pretty much it's all kind of gotten itself sorted out.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, pretty much they backed up and they did what they could. They announced as soon as they saw problems, they brought things down, they got things going as quickly as they could. They even kind of gave people a free day, a bonus day. So they handled what went wrong really well. They, went quick, was very upfront about everything. They went ahead and before there was, before everyone was, I suppose not before, because everyone was probably quite upset. When it went down,
I saw quite a few rage quits. I actually did. I saw quite a few. Oh, that's it. This is the last straw. I'm out of here. This is it.
Yeah, well, you'll get that anytime anything happens.
Yeah, and I mean, that the same thing, I'm sure it happened where a lot of us came from with Star Trek Online. The same things happen with World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
they still have subscribers. They still have a good player base. So half the time, some of the rage quit threads are literally people just trolling or they're mad and.
Yeah, and one of the things,
or you never know.
One of the things that kind of got them a little upset was the fact that ranked war zones were pulled from the 1.2 update. In fact, I saw quite a few of them quoting this as just another failure in the whole line of BioWare failures, and this was one of them.
Yeah, I'll just mention, and some people are probably going to hate me for saying this, but you know what? If you want to see failures, there's some other gaming companies. I won't name them, but I've played them recently, and they've had some patch delays, some problems, and ranked war zones not being in because they want to do them right. If anything, people think about it. Would you like to be handed something that's broken, or would you like to be given something late that works and works really well? And this is something I personally would applaud BioWare for, especially for something like PvP. Get it done right when it comes out, so that there's no gripes, there's no chance that people are cheating or scamming the system. Make sure there's no bugs, because the last thing you want is to be have the most kills, have the most objective points, and have everything go right in a PvP match. You got 10 medals or however many you can get, and you're on top of the world, and the rewards don't count because there was a bug.
Yeah.
Because then your keyboard's going to go flying, and
windows will break, and keyboards will fall in pieces. But we've seen this. They have this track record of saying, you know what? It's not right. We're going to put this on pause until we can get it right. I mean, that's what a lot of 1.2 was things that they wanted at launch, but they didn't feel like it was up to snuff.
That's what
So,
launch
like,
was. Yeah,
launch
was
they
held
aim
a lot
as
back.
much as they could to put this group of things out. And at the last minute, if something's not up to all the checkboxes, then they're like, I'm sorry, everybody. It's not cool enough yet.
And
hold on, it's coming.
And I guess what people are upset about though is it's not that do you want it now buggy or do you want it later complete? They want a third option, which is I want it on time and I want it right. And that's why they're upset, is because that's just not an option at all. And I guess I see that to an extent, but I think an indicator of the level of polish and thoroughness that the development team does have is the fact that we are not really treating this game like it's a 1.0. I mean, we are in a sense, but when an update out like this rolls out and it's a 1.0 game, these are almost always really, really the most rockiest time for a new game. And we're kind of quibbling now sort of about how one little area got left out, whereas in most cases, it'd be some pretty big fundamental issues at this point. And maybe those fundamental issues are there and I'm just not aware of them and I'm not giving them enough attention. But to me, it seems like so far, with the exception of the ranked war zones getting pulled, 1.2 and 1.2a are exceptional, especially after a launch.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. And when you just look at some of the things from the test server and just how many bugs were filed about ranked war zones, it kind of comes back to, well, if you order, let's say, what can appeal to the biggest portion of the audience, a new car. You go to the dealership, you order a new car that's coming out. Well, they say, okay, we're going to have to delay any of the first set of orders for a month because there's something going wrong that would cause the engine to overheat and seize. So the last thing you want, of course, is your brand new car's engine to seize.
Yeah.
Because, of course, it basically makes the car a $30,000 paperweight.
Yeah.
So, like, if you give them time, like, let it work and you let them work on it and it'll be that much better because you don't get your ranked war zones, and I've been in a PvP guild. I know how it feels, but go infect your guildies with the Rakghoul virus.
You'll feel better.
It'll make everything that much better.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even think about the bug standpoint. If people have filed a bunch of bugs and they would have shipped it, then they would have been the opposite side. What are you doing shipping something with this many outstanding bugs?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, anytime you have a game launch or, this big of an update, I always kind of step back and be like, what am I complaining about? This and this and that. What have I complained about in the past? I couldn't log on. I couldn't stay logged on for more than 2 seconds. Half the things I needed to see were disappeared.
The server queues were 45 minutes.
3 million years long. So it's, it's these kind of things where you're like, okay, they pulled this back because it wasn't ready, and a couple of things weren't triggering right, so they went back and they fixed them, within 24 hours or so, and everything's gonna go. Something is gonna go wrong with a MMO this large with this much programming. Something is going to happen. You have to expect it. It's reality. People are actually real.
Well, we'll get some flames, but I think that is what it is. Now we got to move on because we're getting kind of long in the time here. So we got a couple more stories we should bang through really quick. The next one, it's totally worth mentioning. Kind of also as a follow up to all this, is BioWare is giving out a special gift, 30 days free game time. But there is a catch. You need to have a player that is level 50, and it's like you still have a couple of days, right, to get there. It's like April 22nd, right? So
yeah, they actually changed it so you can actually gain it through legacy level 6.
Okay. Oh, so you don't even have to be level 50 necessarily if you. Okay.
As long as you can gain legacy level 6 before April 22nd.
Yeah. So if you decided to play some alts rather than getting a main character to 50, so long as you hit that legacy level 6, you're good for 30 free days. Yeah. And also, when you think about it, this is just another way to say it's like, okay, we maybe didn't give you your ranked war zone, or maybe you were upset that you didn't get matched to chess piece until patch 1.2 because you're narcissistic about how your character looks. Here's 30 free days. So
Nothing on you, Heather. Nothing on you.
I may be one of those people.
You might know the best spot in the entire game to get the gloves, the specific gloves you like, but I'm not saying anything.
Yes, and run it until I get those specific gloves that I like. And they also, give a week for any of the respecs. People who are formerly rescribing.
Yeah, that's nice too. All right, well, let's move on. So I believe I might get his name wrong here, but I'm going to try it. George Zuller. He is laying down the law on gear in 1.2. And I'm not sure. Did I get the name right? Do you know? I don't know. I'm horrible with that stuff.
Zeller?
Yeah, I think.
Zoller?
Zoller.
Zoeller.
Oh.
It's going to be tough to get an interview with him if we keep messing up his name.
Maybe he'll come on the show to correct me so that way I don't get it wrong. But so there have been a few threads that have voiced confusion regarding the Endgame itemization in the 1.2 patch. And he said he wanted to take an opportunity to clarify that what you're going to see when the game up 1.2 goes live. Now, of course, this has already happened, but there's probably a few bits in here we want to share, right? Heather, do you want to take the first one?
Sure. There's some PvE gear sets, not changing stats, but drop rates, commendations, various things have been tweaked about them.
Yeah, this is well, that PvE gear, that's the Taiwanese column A and Rakata gear, so your rating gear. As Heather said, they're not changing. The drop rates for Taiwanese commendations has been increased, so you're going to get your currency a little faster. Column I has been added to Lost Islands Flashpoint hard mode, so that's been added. New flashpoint, new way to get gear. Cool. Rakata gear is again possibility on Lost Island Flashpoint hard mode, and the story mode operation explosive conflict on Denova.
Oh, cool! And
then for the new campaign and black hole gear, these news item sets are being rolled out with explosive conflict, and all the campaign gear can also be reversed engineered so that you can learn it as a crafter. So all of a sudden now you as a crafter can learn some pretty freaking epic gear.
Yeah, it has different stat distributions, so you can kind of get a wider variety of gear and sets as you mix and match.
Yes, cool. And something I'll also mention is this campaign gear that you can get, and you'll find it on the fleet in the supplies section near the where you would normally find the raid gear. You'll also find this new vendor for the new gear sets. And one thing that your campaign gear carries is the set bonus for your armoring pieces.
Yes,
those can come out. So let's say you're a narcissistic person with a gear fetish. Yes. You want to move your armorings and enhancements and move that set bonus over. You can then move that over. You're not stuck to having to use that specific set of gear.
It's bind to slot too, so you may have to pull it out of a boot, but I can stick it in the boots I like.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep. So there's that. Another one that I will point out is that with the orange gear, your orange customizing, fully moddable gear, you can now get augment slots in those. So rather than your basic armor mod and enhancement slots, you can also get the augment slots on the orange gear. So you can have up to 4 modifications now. And then last, give the PvPers some love. Your Centurion and Champion sets have disappeared, but now you can buy the Recruit set for cash. So
not taking away those, of course.
No, those aren't disappearing. If you already own them, they'll stay. You're not gonna all of a sudden log into your character
be
who's
naked in the middle of the fleet.
Yes, you're not gonna have an embarrassing moment and spawn in your skivvies.
Yeah.
There's now a recruit gear which you can buy for cash, which is going to be great for PvPers hitting level 50. You need to get outfitted, and you want to immediately get something that has that expertise rating. If you save up your credits, you can get that right away. You're not having to save up the PvP currency and worry about that.
The Battlemaster gear is not going to require 60 Valor rating anymore. You just go straight from Warzone commendations from the Battlemaster vendor.
Yep, save up your Warzone commendations, and you can immediately start getting the Battlemaster stuff right away. The War Hero PvP gear has been added, and those are some of those really epic sets that you saw in the 1.2 trailer. Those ones, of course, some of those are going to be from the ranked war zones. You'll see the ranked war zone currency. Of course, because you can't get them yet, you're going to have to wait a little while, but they're still going to be there. And the War Hero items will also be items that will carry their set bonuses with their armorings. So again, make sure a glove goes into a glove, but you can then carry that set bonus over. So if you have, let's say you're Sith Assassin, you decide that new set looks a little too crustacean-like and you prefer your old Battlemaster stuff, pull your mods, move them over, and there you go.
There you go.
Or into any orange piece.
Yes.
Huh. So, again, a bunch of information there, but all of that is in the show notes. All that said, though, to be honest with you, I'm looking forward to episode number 5 because the new Corellia?
Yeah, Corellia.
Yes, Corellia.
I get all worried now, and so then I under or over pronounce it. Anyways, they have new dailies over on Corellia. It's part of the 1.2 patch, and we're going to talk all about those, and I'm really excited to talk about those. I know both of you are, too.
Yes, most definitely.
Yep.
And
we'll take you through this next episode and feature them. They are brand new content, and we'll give you the in-depth look without actually being on in-depth look.
Right. So TORked usually makes it out late Wednesday evenings, early Thursday morning over at JupiterBroadcasting.com, but you can just subscribe to an RSS feed and get the show weekly over there. Don't have to worry about it. And you can find it in just about every format you could like. So you can download it to show it on your big screen or on your tiny little portable device or just the audio only as well. And you can always email the show, TORked@JupiterBroadcasting.com. Any closing thoughts before we go?
I think that's it.
Okay.
Tune in for the Corellia dailies next week. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yes.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of TORked, and may the Force be with you.